I'm not looking for the secret to life. I just go on from day to day, taking what comes. That's a quote from Frank Sinatra. He was a really important figure in the 1950s and 60s, but more importantly, was involved in something even greater. Now, when you think about this era, you think about, like I previously mentioned, the cars, the leather jackets, the greased up hair, but it's much more than that. Today we're going to focus on the Rat Pack. We're going to discuss the first Rat Pack, second Rat Pack, and who it was composed of, and really what they were known for and what they did. So let's start with the first Rat Pack. It was started by Humphrey Bogart, his wife Lauren Bacall, and Frank Sinatra. They were called the Rat Pack of Holmby Hills because that's where they hung out in LA. They would gallivant around the streets, have fun, go in casinos and clubs, and just let loose. They had to keep the women off them. That was often a problem because it's not often that you would see characters who were portrayed as larger than life walking around on the streets, but that's just what they did. They had fun. They were really themselves. They let loose. But in 1957, Humphrey Bogart died. He was the leader of this group, kind of the glue that held them together. So when he died, the group kind of started to fizzle away a little bit. But Frank Sinatra took it upon himself to keep it going. So he started the second Rat Pack. Frank Sinatra is our first member of this Rat Pack. He was a boy from New Jersey. He was just a northern boy, but it was said, one of the more famous quotes about him, women wanted to smother him, older women wanted to mother him, and jealous partners wanted to shoot him. He was known as a man of a million moods. They often said that he could come in one day and he would be kind and sweet, but the next minute he would change and he could be cold and heartless and cruel. You just never knew what you were going to get with him. He had many hits called like Come Fly With Me, Can't Take That Away, and I Get a Kick Out of You. But it was said that when he sang, he was able to connect with his audience. He made people feel like he was singing just to them. Which is a really important thing to be able to do, an incredible talent as an entertainer. So that was one of his more famous traits that he was known for. So our second member of the group that we're going to progress to now is Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis Jr. had a really rough upbringing. He was abandoned by his mother when he was 2 years old. He couldn't read, he couldn't write. He said that he had no formal education. I can't write because I can't spell, he said. He had no education whatsoever. And he was actually the only African American member of this group, which led to a lot of teasing and bullying. But he said that he used that hate to fuel him, to use his talent as a weapon almost, to prove to people that he was special and he deserved to be able to just do what he wanted in life and have fun and express his talents. He was an all-around threat. He could sing, he could dance, he could act, he could play drums, he could even render imitations, which was actually how he met Frank Sinatra. He was at a party one night in New York when someone asked him, hey, can you do an imitation of Frank Sinatra? So he did. Turns out Frank Sinatra was at the party and saw him. And they hit it off. It was awesome. He joined the Rat Pack, and his talent just really exploded. These are two of his hits that he had. What Kind of Fool Am I? And Candyman. Now we're going to progress to our third member, which is my personal favorite, Dean Martin. Dean Martin was known for his unbelievable charisma. Elvis Presley was quoted saying he was the coolest guy he had ever seen, period. But he also had kind of a rough childhood. He was a bootlegger, he was a blackjack dealer, he worked in a steel mill for the majority of his life. But he overcame all of that. His idol was Bing Crosby, which was an entertainer from a previous era before him, but that got him through kind of the rough era he grew up in. And he actually got a nose job later in his years and changed his name from his birth name, Dino Crocetti, to Dean Martin. After this change, it was almost like a light bulb just went off. His fame rose to the top. He had tons and tons of musical hits and almost even more movies that he made. So, now that we've talked about the first Rat Pack and the second Rat Pack and who it was composed of, let's just address a couple points of what they did, what they were known for. Two main things they did was their night at the Sands. This was a performance they had when it was at a casino or a theater in New York. They all just kind of let loose. They were acting, they were singing, and it was awesome. People said that it was one of those events that will live in history. You just can't repeat it. Secondly, they were known for probably more popularly their involvement in the 1960s Ocean's 11 movie. They all lent, all three of them, this is actually a scene from that movie, they all lent their singing and acting abilities to this movie, which kind of trademarked their thing. And since then, they just lived in history. That's kind of their trademark, like I said. And it's still a really popular movie. As you know, there's been many other Ocean's movies, but this is the start of it. They got it going. They started this movement. So let's talk about, we went over the first Rat Pack, the second Rat Pack, who it was composed of, and really the two main things that they did. So I want to wrap this up by just talking about who they were. They were a group of guys, just normal people who were charismatic. They enjoyed their talents. They loved singing and acting, and they loved just being themselves. They captured the true essence of the 1950s and 60s. Frank Sinatra had a quote that says, "You only live once, and the way I live, once is enough."